Hi, I'm Jackie McLaughlin, the Director of the Pre-Health Programs at Penn. This information session is designed to give you some insight into the life of our pre-health post-baccalaureate students. You will get an overview of our curriculum and even an opportunity to ask questions of a student representative during our live Q&A session. Many prospective students wonder what we're looking for in a pre-health student. There are some common characteristics we see across our core and specialized students at Penn. All are intellectually curious, goal-oriented, and willing to work hard. We also look for students with a service orientation, leadership potential, and compassion for others. If this describes you, we invite you to stay tuned and take a closer look. Well, our program is unique in that we have flexibility for students to do this program in a variety of ways. The majority of our courses are offered in the evening. Students may do that on a full-time basis or a part-time basis, but any student that's accepted into our program is eligible to take classes, a comparable class during the day. The majority of the courses that will meet requirements for the core certificate or the specialized certificate are science courses. Those courses may be chemistry, biology, physics, and we have a wide variety of neuroscience courses that meet those requirements as well. But students may stay and take additional courses if they like. So we have a wide range of undergraduate science courses. We can also weave in math requirements or social science requirements for students who need those as well. So for the specialized studies student who is taking HCUs, they can do that within 1 year, within 2 semesters, a fall term and a spring term, taking 4 courses each semester. If they choose to go part-time, they can spread that out over 2 years, over 5 sequential semesters, taking 2 courses a semester if they happen to be working full-time or part-time. It really will take about 2 years for a core student to complete the program. Core students have the option of starting in the summer or they might start in the fall term. If they are going full-time, they might complete the majority of the requirements in 1 full year, yet there still will be additional requirements they might need if they're applying to medical school. For example, biochemistry being the one that really stands out. So in that situation, it really makes sense, and what we're advocating now for most of our core students is that they're really looking at a 2-year time frame. Starting in the fall makes a lot of sense. The pace is very nice, and a core student is able to weave in the experiences that they need to have in research or in clinical exposure, which really makes them a much stronger candidate when it comes to application. I think our admissions process is very detailed and very careful. And one of the things that we're looking for is offering admissions to students that we think are going to be successful in this program. But part of that success is also engaging with the faculty and engaging with the advising team early on and continuing to come in and meet with advisors so that we can all work together as a team to make sure that students are reaching their goals and staying on track. And an advisor plays many different roles. An advisor can help with career counseling, with academic advising, helping with selection of courses, but can also be a confidant and a counselor as well when a student needs some additional help outside of the school environment. For the student who might have done some basic general chemistry or maybe some intro bio, but needs to do additional core prerequisite courses, we're the perfect place for them because they can come in and fill in those core requirements that they need, and then take additional advanced science courses as well. So they're a very good fit. We do consultation with students initially to find out where they fit. Should they consider themselves a core student or should they consider themselves a specialized student? So if someone is unsure at the time of application, just submit your application and we will work with you to sort that out. What we look for in the core applicant is someone who has a great academic track record, who has the motivation, and is willing to work hard. You have to have an understanding of yourself and why you want to go in this direction. But that's exactly what a core program is for the person who studied, another subject area and now decides that they are ready at this point in their life to move in another direction and study, a different content matter. So we are perfectly designed for that. The specialized studies are really an interesting group. They're here for a variety of reasons. Some of them are trying to improve their academic record for a variety of reasons. They may not have achieved the academic goals that they wanted to during their undergraduate career. And others just want to strengthen what they already have. They may have a wonderful academic record and they just need a little bit more time, a few more advanced courses, maybe some more experience to make themselves a stronger candidate. We'll see students who come into the program thinking they might want to go into medicine and decide throughout their growth and learning and experience that maybe it's not the best choice for them. So we have a fair number of students who might choose to do physician assistant program. We've had a few who have decided during a discernment process while they're here that they're interested in physical therapy. I've had students decide they're interested in public health, and I've also had students who are interested in nutrition careers. So we will work with the students for whatever health profession, if you're here, whatever health profession might really draw your attention or your interest and help you to get there. Well, Penn really has the most flexibility. We are a large program. We have a variety of students in the student body, so there's diversity in the student body. We have people with no science experience and people who are very experienced in science, all working together. We also have an opportunity to leverage a lot of research training and clinical training opportunities for students, and we continue to put more of those in place each year. So it's something, the Penn experience is something that you're not going to be able to get elsewhere.
The new MCAT 2015 was administered for the first time last spring. I encourage you to visit the AAMC website for information updates. This new exam is designed with questions intended to cross scientific disciplines and encourage students to solve problems like scientists. The test is divided into the following 4 sections: biological and biochemical foundations of living systems, chemical and physical foundations of biological systems, psychological, social, and biological foundations of behavior, and critical analysis and reasoning skills. Potential applicants ask if they should take the MCAT before applying to our program. No, we do not expect applicants to take the MCAT prior to enrolling, but we encourage students to take the MCAT when they're best prepared to do so. However, we will require a standardized test result as part of your application, and this can be the SAT, the ACT, or the GRE. Again, if you have MCAT questions, I urge you to visit the AAMC website for announcements and updates.
Please stay tuned for our live Q&A session starting now.
Hi there, and good evening. My name is Jackie McLaughlin. I'm the Director for the Pre-Health Programs at the University of Pennsylvania. Thank you for joining us this evening for our virtual information session. We're fortunate to have 2 students who are currently enrolled in the pre-health programs with us this evening to help to answer your questions. We have Tricia and we have Luca, who's here. Luca is a core student in the program, and Tricia is one of our specialized students. So I'm going to give the students an opportunity to tell you a little bit about themselves, about their program of study, how they happen to come here at Penn, to this program, and I'll let you go ahead and get started.
Sounds good. Hi, everyone. My name is Tricia, and it's so cool to be here tonight to be able to talk to you about the program, specifically the specialized program, and answer any questions you may have. So I am a second-year student within the specialized program. I started last fall. Prior to this program, I actually went to Penn for undergrad, and while I was here in undergrad, I majored in biology and I minored in healthcare management. So a lot of my interest has been in, the sciences, public health, as well as healthcare management. So after graduating, I took all of the core classes that are required for pre-meds. And I moved to Denver, and while I was there, I was working for a healthcare company. I was an internal consultant, and I got to work on some really cool projects that brought me in contact with patients and with healthcare professionals. So I decided I have to give the med school route a try again. And because I was already familiar with Penn, I exclusively applied to Penn's specialized program because there's a lot of familiarity here for me. I know the city, I love Philadelphia, so it seemed like a really great fit. So I started last fall, and as I'm sure some of you may have seen from the website, specialized students typically take 8 courses, and so I've completed 6 out of those 8 courses. I did 3 in the fall, 3 in the spring. I'm taking 1 course now. And apart from that, I have an opportunity to serve as a teaching assistant for a cell biology class, which thus far has been incredibly gratifying, a lot of fun, and it's reinforced the material for me, which is great. And I will be working full-time as a clinical research coordinator starting in a few weeks. So that's my experience over the past 3 or 4 years in a nutshell.
Great, thank you.
And as Jackie said, my name's Luca, course student, and my background is more of a non-traditional student, so people who kind of don't really have a background, or in my case, I do have a bit of a biology background, but it's from many years ago. I went to Penn for graduate school. I have a master's here, and for about 3-4 years after getting my master's, I worked in geotechnical consulting, doing some ecological consulting. Like a lot of people who decide to change their careers, they didn't really like their career choice. I wasn't thrilled with what I was doing. And I actually, for some reason, have a lot of friends who are doctors now. Spoke to a lot of them about what their daily lives are, what they do. Watched a lot of House. I'm kidding. And was really intrigued. I ended up taking a couple classes before actually being officially admitted to the program. And I am on my last year as well. I'm looking to take the MCAT this spring and apply for the next cycle.
Good, great. So between the 2 students who are here, we should be able to cover most of your questions that you have about either the core program or the specialized program. We have one question from someone in our audience who wants to know about what the qualifications are in order to apply to this program. So the qualifications pretty much depend on whether you're looking at the core program or whether you're looking at the specialized program. So the core program is for folks who don't have a science background, or perhaps in similar to Luca's situation where his core courses were taken many years ago, and maybe in that case some students are looking to repeat some of the core courses if they happen to be older, or we'll help you evaluate that, whether or not your best fit is for the core program or whether your best fit is for the specialized program. In general, we're looking for people who have a very strong academic background, because I think, as both of our students here will attest, this is a pretty demanding, pretty rigorous, see the heads are going up and down, pretty rigorous program. So you really do need to be prepared for this environment, for this academic environment. One of the things that's very helpful if you've been out of school for a while, or if you haven't had any sciences or any math, is that you make sure that you come up to speed with your math. You make sure you have, before you even apply to this program, some college level math would be really appropriate to help you be prepared for the physics and the chemistry that you need. So it really is a tool that you need to be able to do the sciences. So a strong academic background, whether it's in the sciences or not in the sciences, is really something we're looking for. But we're also looking for characteristics that aren't on your transcript. So we're really looking for students who are highly motivated. There's a certain level of maturity.
that we look for in our students as well. You know, sort of what is the motivation for why you want to come back to school and do this? That's very important. Are you doing it for you, or are you doing it for some other, you know, external reasons? It's important to know, because that motivation is really what's going to help propel you successfully through the program. Okay. In terms of a GPA, we don't have a specific GPA cut point, but really students need to be, you know, for the most part, above a 3.0. I would say that on average, our specialized students who are applying to the program probably have a science GPA somewhere around a 3.3. And our core students who are applying to the program are closer to around an overall GPA of a 3.6. So they're really pretty good students academically when they come into the program. Some people want to know about really what is the size of our program. And we have, I would say, about half and half of our student population. Half of our students are specialized and half are core. That is about out of 275 active students. That's students who are in classes right now. But when we look at our students who are actually in the application cycle, that we're following and supporting and advising through that application cycle, we really get closer to around 400 students in the program. So it's relatively large. And we do a lot to try and create opportunities for students to come together and get to form your own support network in the program. Jasmine has a question about what is the average amount of time for most pre-health students to complete the program. So I'm going to toss that to you. You want to talk about the length of time that you're in the program? You can talk about your length of time, and then I'll tell you what is sort of average.
Sure. So again, I'm a specialized student, and as I had mentioned previously, there are about 8 courses that specialized students take. And you know, it's up to you and your advisor when you have that initial advising meeting, and it depends on your schedule and what you're comfortable with. So there may be students who take 1 to 2 courses per semester and work full-time, or there are students who take 4 courses in a semester and really hammer it out within a year. I would say on average, or from, you know, students who are in my classes with me, people take about 2 years to complete the program, and you can split it up however you'd like after discussing it with your advisor. So there's a lot of flexibility built into this program depending on what it is that you want to do. You truly do drive your own program with you know, certain guidelines that the advisors are here to offer.
Specialized generally is 1 to 2 years, and most students complete it within 2 years. I would say it's about half and half for students who are doing it in 1 year and students who are doing it in 2 years. Some of what drives that timeline also is when you see yourself applying. So if you want to come in and take 2 courses a semester but think you're going to apply in 2 semesters, that's not really going to be a realistic plan. So we need to work very closely together with the advisors to figure out what's going to be a good choice for you. And then for our core students, our average core is about 2 years. How is your timeline?
That's pretty much my timeline. I did kind of enter the program a little bit cautiously just because of the monumental change in my life that this was going to be, because you do have, like Jackie said, about 2 years of pre-health, and then you have, you know, a 4-year medical school, and then depending on what specialty you want to go to, your training can be anywhere from 3 to 7 or 8 years. So I'm, without the 2 classes that I took before officially starting the program, I'm on a 2-year timeline, which generally amounts to about 2 classes, maybe 3 a semester. And all those classes are in the evening, and what that does is it actually lets you work during the day. One of the things that you can do at Penn is take advantage of the fact that there's a really big health system associated with Penn. And while it doesn't guarantee you a job, it really helps kind of get a part-time job to get you clinical experience that you can then use on your applications, you can talk about during your interviews, and really kind of immerses you in that health field. So most people will probably have about 12 to 20 hours of work during the week and then take a couple classes in the evening and complete in about 2 years, sit for the MCAT, and then you have your glide year with interviews and secondaries.
I think that's a really important point that you make about being able to leverage the facilities that are here at this university. It's so resource rich with opportunity, and our students are very good at networking, and we try and provide a lot of opportunities for students to network within the clinical sites that we have here to help them find research positions or even volunteer experiences. How did you find your work experience?
Mine, it was actually, we do get pretty frequent emails from the LPS program. So like I said, there is a level of integration between the hospital here at Penn and the school. And the hospital basically knows that there's a lot of students who are interested in taking these part-time positions. Often they're paid, but really the primary motivator for getting this job is the experience, the exposure. I was actually able to leverage my job to work with a couple principal investigators on top of my regular day job. That's going to help me get a couple publications, which once again, the more you add to your medical school application and the more diverse it is, the better your chances of getting in. So yeah, basically just through the LPS program, they send out the emails and you can apply through that. They kind of facilitate the exchange, but it's really up to you to pursue and find what you want to do.
How about you, Tricia?
Yeah, so the clinical research job that I'm going to be starting here in a month came through an email that I think, Jackie, you sent out over the summer. And so having gone here for undergrad and being able to compare my undergrad experience to my post-bac experience, what I will say is what's incredibly unique about the post-bac program is that your advisors truly understand that you want all of these different opportunities as a student, whether it's to do research or volunteer or start your own group. And what I really appreciate about the post-bac program is that whatever opportunities that you want, if you explain to your advisor what it is that you're looking for out of this program, there's a way to go get it. And as Luca was saying, as long as you put in your effort and you chase those opportunities, there's a lot you can do while you're here.
Great, good. Someone is asking whether or not they have a chance to get into the specialized program with a GPA below a 3.0. And I have to say that we work very hard as an admissions committee to do a holistic review of our applicants. So we're not just looking at your GPA. We're looking at your test scores. We're looking at your experiences. We're looking at the length of time that you've been out of school. We're looking at many things in your history, whether you're first generation, how long it's been that you've been out of school, what your pathway was to our door, to evaluate whether or not we think you really would be a good fit for our program. So are there students who have below a 3.0 who get into this program, into the specialized program? Yes, there are. There aren't a lot of them, but yes, there are. So we take a very, very careful look at those applications and don't just blanketly, reject someone from the program because of a low GPA. But I want to understand why the GPA is low. That's really important. So if I get a really good sense of someone may have been 19 years old and not as directed as you need to be to really get the grades that you wanted to achieve in your undergraduate years, and you were working full-time, or maybe you were a Division I athlete, and that had some influence on your GPA, that's all very important things that we want to take into account. So if you're interested in the program, I encourage you to apply and let us evaluate your application. There's another question here. They're wondering if pre-health offers volunteer and shadowing opportunities along with the class schedule. So I'm going to field that, put that out there to both of you to talk about. You want to talk about your volunteer or any shadowing experiences that you've had while you were here?
Sure, yeah. I may not be able to speak to the shadowing experience, but that does exist. So as far as volunteer opportunity goes, it really runs the gamut. You know, you could be volunteering with, for example, the Penn Future Women in Health Club, which organizes, soup kitchen volunteering events. So you could be volunteering with one-off opportunities like that to volunteering at clinics. So I know that in the West Philadelphia area, there's, for example, the United Community Clinic and the UCHC clinic system. I'm forgetting what that stands for right now. But there are opportunities for you to get involved, work with patients, work with health professionals. One of the clinics that I used to volunteer at had, an undergraduate / post-bac station where you would help patients. You would welcome them into the clinic and do some vital intake, and you would also get a chance to shadow some of the physicians and some of the med students that volunteered at that clinic. So there are a lot of opportunities, especially in Philadelphia. I think this is an environment that's very rich in a lot of incredible hands-on volunteering opportunities.
Yeah, and I would go ahead and say, too, that there isn't so much as like if you're accepted into the program, there's placement in shadowing or volunteering or even a job. The program does a really good job at communicating what opportunities are out there, either within the Penn system or even outside of the Penn system. Penn is, I think they're the biggest private employer in Philadelphia, so they have a lot of connections within the city. So there are a lot of organizations that kind of go to Penn and have relationships with Penn, and then that information does very quickly get disseminated throughout the students. So you will constantly be getting emails, like I said, reminders like job postings. It is up to you to follow up on those and to really pursue those. As far as shadowing goes, a lot of those opportunities are available to you through jobs. My job in particular, I'm a research assistant at the Cancer Center at Penn, and it affords me a lot of access to a lot of the physicians in my group. And it's not unheard of for any research assistant to go to one of the doctors and say, hey, do you mind if I come and see some patients with you one of these days? And all of them are in some way associated with the School of Medicine, so they're always more than happy to teach you. So I guess really to sum it up, the opportunities are there. LPS does a great job disseminating them to you, and if you apply, you will likely find something that'll work.
We also, to let you know that we started something new last spring. One of our students took upon herself as a project for the students. She created a networking match and lined up, probably on about 25 or 30 services, physicians who were willing to take on students for shadowing opportunities. So we launched that for the first time last spring, and our students are going to be continuing that. We're looking for a way to make that shadowing network a sustainable activity for every semester. So I think that, and we're expanding that network as well. So I think having, a structured shadowing opportunity for students maybe who are new to the area, maybe who don't have, clinical research positions, and maybe don't have that door open to them to be getting easier access to those shadowing opportunities. It might be a really great way for you to start getting that kind of experience. So I'm really glad that we are able to bring that to the students. I think it's really cool. Someone is asking a question about how long the program is, and is MCAT prep included, and can the schedule be customized? Well, I think we've talked a little bit about the flexibility and talking with your advisors about it. Most students are here from 1 to 2 years. You can do it full-time, part-time, 1 to 2 years. The majority of the core students are doing a 2-year program, but it is possible in some cases to do that in 1 year as well. MCAT prep, we have a couple of options for MCAT prep. We don't have, some of our students come into the program and they've already taken the MCAT, so they don't need MCAT prep. So we don't have a blanket, just as we like to have flexibility in your curricular plan, we don't have one size fits all for MCAT prep either. But we do have some partnerships. So we have a really great partnership with Kaplan that offers a deep discount to our students for MCAT prep, DAT prep, and GRE prep, which is is what our pre-vet students need. And we also have a discount available with Princeton Reviews as well. And in fact, Princeton Reviews comes in and does some study skills and strategies workshops with our students too. So, and then there are students who like to prepare on their own. Some students don't want to take a structured program. But anyway, that is part of your advising. You'll be talking to your advising team about when you're going to take the MCAT, when you're going to do your standardized exams, what is the right type of option for you, and what kind of partnerships are available for you. John is asking whether or not there are linkage programs, and yes, John, there are. If you are at a computer, you can go to the website and click on a page on our website that's going to show you what the linkage programs are. We have more linkage agreements with the core programs than we do with the specialized programs, but we do have 2 for specialized students as well. And there are there's more specific information for you there on the website. Not every student is a good candidate for a linkage program though, so we have our linkage applicants from this program is a smaller proportion of our overall student body. Most students are going into the regular cycle and applying broadly. But in many ways that's an advantage because they're getting incredibly rich experiences during their glide year as well. Clarissa wants to know, will classes be combined with graduate students or other undergraduates? So actually, Clarissa, no, this for the majority of our classes that we run in LPS for the pre-health students, they are with your peers. They're with other pre-health students, either specialized students or core students. Occasionally, there will be a graduate student in there or an undergraduate student who's in there because they have a conflict maybe with another course that they're taking, but for the most part, you're with your peers, which I'm going to let the students address that, whether or not they think it's a good thing. I think it's really a good thing, rather than being with med students or grad students or undergrads. What do you think?
So from the specialized studies perspective, a lot of the students in my class have also, previously taken some biology classes or some science classes, and I found it really helpful to be with other post-bac students because everyone generally, understands what you're going through and everyone wants everyone to succeed. And so it's been really wonderful to be in an environment where, people can truly empathize and sympathize with you and want everyone to learn, for the sake of our future patients. So I've really enjoyed being in classes with just post-bac students. But as Jackie was saying, there are certain cases where you may have some undergrad students or graduate students who are also in your class, and I think they contribute just as much to the positivity and, great environment that is some of our classes.
What do you think?
Hey, I basically feel the same way. Probably the biggest point I think is that everybody's going through about the same thing. So when you have things like group projects and stuff the word is escaping me, on a certain level, it's just easier where, you're taking these classes in the evening, you have people that you might need to collaborate with, they also work during the day. So having people that are kind of going through the same thing, have similar schedules as you, makes it a lot easier to work in. And everybody kind of has the same goal too, so that really helps with the just the kind of environment in the class.
Mm-hmm. And average class size really varies depending on what the class is. I think for most of the core classes, they might be about 35 to 45. Does that seem about right?
Yeah, and it's variable. I think just maybe depending on the year or the specific class. I mean, some of the basic classes like chemistry, organic chemistry, physics, the classes that everybody's taking, there might be classes that have a bigger kind of lecture hall setting. To that point though, every professor that I've had likes to add extra work time. A lot of them carry optional / mandatory office hours, which you're very encouraged to go to. So even if you do find yourself in a bigger class, every professor here has been incredibly accessible, either outside of the class during their scheduled office hours or unscheduled office hours if you can't make them. So the support is absolutely there. So if you do walk into a class that there's quite a few students there, don't worry that you're going to kind of get lost in the crowd. You can really develop a good a positive relationship with all of your professors.
And then size for the specialized classes will vary too. We have a lot of classes that are limited to 20 students only, and then there are some upper division courses, 400 level courses, one in particular, immunobiology, that can go up to 70 students. It's very popular, very difficult, challenging class, but phenomenal teacher. So that class is very large, but that's unusual. So I think it's more common to see the average class size in specialized, I would say about 25 or 30.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good. And Kim has a question about tuition and whether or not it's self-pocketed. And I have to admit, Kim, that I'm not really sure. I'm not really familiar with the term self-pocketed, but I think I'm going to interpret that question to ask, are students paying the tuition themselves? So students might be eligible for federal loans because we're a certificate program, either in the core or in the specialized. Students are eligible to fill out a FAFSA and apply for federal loans. But the majority of the students are figuring out how to pay tuition for themselves. One of the benefits of working here at Penn, if you happen to be a full-time employee, is that they do have a tuition program for the staff, which is really a generous benefit. And we have quite a few students who are using tuition at the university to pay for that. Anything else you two want to add about tuition?
I do know in certain cases, if you do work for the university, you can have tuition for at least a couple of classes waived. So there are definitely several options in with respect to tuition.
Yeah, it applies to full-time staff. So usually people working full-time will kind of pare down their course load in order to keep their grades up, because really that's obviously the most important thing. So if you do have the years to spare and you do have a full-time job offer, that's certainly something that you might want to really take a look at. And those full-time jobs also afford you a lot of opportunities to really kind of build a good, strong application.
Okay. And Laura has another question about linkage and the fit. So I think maybe there's some confusion about the specialized students and linkage. We only have 2 linkage opportunities for specialized students. The majority of them are for the core students. The reason isn't that they aren't a good fit. It has to do with the reason why linkage agreements were created in the first place, when medical schools were looking at avenues for including more non-traditional students into their classes. So specialized students really weren't non-traditional in that classic sense because they had a science background. So that's the distinction. Our success rate for the specialized students is quite high. I would say overall between the core students and the specialized students, the success rate for first-time applicants to medical school from our program runs about 75% for students, which is actually pretty good. It might vary. It might be a little bit up one year and down a little bit another year, but that's in general what it is. And then for our students, we do follow them through with advising and support them through advising through a second application of a subsequent year. And for those students who are applying a second time, with our support, that application rate for them is about 65%, which is really good for students who are reapplying. So I think our students do quite well. Some students choose to apply when they're not quite ready. So there are some things that can really influence those application rates, and that is making sure that your timing for your application is good, that you are really well prepared for the MCAT before you apply, that you're really ready, your experiences are ready. Some students take a little bit longer to make sure that they have that really solid application before they hit the submit button, and that usually translates into a little bit higher rate of success for the students. Donovan is asking a question about some of the unique features of the program, and I think, aside from the academics, that this program does an awful lot to provide some enrichment for students. So Tricia mentioned the Women in Medicine Club. We have specific organizations and clubs, a very active student body that does a lot to create a meaningful community among the students. So we have that one particular club. We have a new medical Spanish club that is starting. And one of our students has developed and designed that course to teach medical Spanish to students. We have a social justice club, and they bring in speakers and work on projects related to social justice and medicine. We have an arts and medicine, which is a new club. So that club's been working very much on finding the interface between the visual arts and written word and music, and how they can really impact health and healing for people. So we have a distinguished speaker series where we bring in researchers from Penn to come in and talk face-to-face with our students and really give them an idea of their pathway in their career and open up doors of opportunity for research. So I think those things are unique. Anything else that two of you might want to add about what you think is kind of a strength of the program, a unique strength of the program?
I mean, I know I stressed it a lot, but having the hospital linked pretty much to the school is an enormous resource. Also, just the city of Philadelphia is just, I've been living in Philly for a few years, and it's a great city. It faces a lot of challenges, and Penn takes a very active role in the city, and you can be a part of that. You know, like Jackie said, there's a lot of volunteer programs that are, you know, private, but kind of, you know, lean on the university, and the university kind of provides, you know, the workforce or the advising that really kind of helps these programs really do make a difference.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. The abundance of opportunities here is mind-blowing, and I think that's what really makes the Penn Postbac program incredibly unique.
So Thomas is wanting to know what's the strongest aspect of the program, so that's a little bit different. So if you can think of one thing that for you, and that answer might be different for each of you.
For me, the strongest aspect of the program is the people, and especially the advising. So Jackie is my advisor, and I mean, you've been a huge pillar of support for me over the past year, and I think truly the support that students and advisors can offer to you in this program is amazing. So as I mentioned earlier, I went here for undergrad, and that's a really big difference for me from my undergrad pre-med experience and my post-bac pre-med experience. So I really appreciate, you know, the environment that students and the advisors and professors try to foster for you in this program.
I'd have to pretty much agree with that. I mean, really, if you reach out, like I see Jackie too, like probably more than she'd care to see.
I don't know what that means.
I mean, you know, if you have, this is a program that's basically geared towards helping you get into medical school. People who apply to this program are kind of almost there, almost ready to apply to medical school, but not quite there. And the whole purpose of this program is to kind of get you over that edge. So if you really take advantage of the advising and just the good input that they have and follow through, it's just probably the best resource they have. Yeah.
Thank you. I have to say that I think I would agree that people are our greatest resource as well. The other students who bring this incredible energy and ideas to the program with aspects of leadership that they want to try out. I mean, I am very willing and think that we all benefit from what other students are bringing to the program. So, yeah, I think it's a very vital, very dynamic program, and I think that's, we have wonderful staff and advisors and faculty, so I think that's the strength. One of our folks in the audience is asking about opportunities to live on campus and participate in the larger Penn community. Well, I'm going to let the students address that as well. Okay. I live in the city, but I don't live on campus.
I do know of some students who do live on campus, so there's on-campus housing available to
Yes, there
post-bac
is.
students. However, I do believe the majority of students tend to live in like West Philly or the grad hospital area, which is east of campus. So there aren't too many students who live on campus, but that opportunity is there. I would say that participating in the larger Penn community, those opportunities really come through the emails that Jackie or some of the other advisors might send. I think the post-bac email listserv is something that's well known across Penn and the hospitals and all these different clubs that are on campus. So you certainly have many opportunities to participate in the larger Penn community. There are also quite a few, there are quite a few Penn students who went here for undergrad and stayed on for the post-bac program. So there are some good resources to let you know what's going on in the larger Penn community and how you can get involved.
Yeah, I once again agree. Yeah, I mean, you're in the LPS program, you're in the pre-health program, so you kind of are under one of the umbrellas, and there's a lot of different schools within Penn. One of the things that I know, especially Penn undergrad, is very proud of is I think they call it One Penn or something, where despite the different separate schools, it's a highly integrated community. So if there are other events and talks and seminars, a lot of them will be open, and you don't have to be part of that school if you want to go listen to somebody give a talk about some new art piece or something. And housing wise, I think most people probably don't live right on campus housing. But being such a big university, there are a lot of housing opportunities in the immediate area. And then Philadelphia is actually a pretty, at least the center city area is pretty compact. I actually bike to campus. It's a pretty bikeable city and walkable as well. So probably won't have any trouble finding somewhere to live that you'll enjoy.
Good, great. And hi, Christopher. Christopher wants to know if I don't have much volunteering experience, should I delay applying until I have more volunteering experience? I wouldn't recommend that you do that. If you really think this is the right time for you to apply to the program, go ahead and apply. You certainly have opportunity to get volunteering service-related experience while you're in the program. I do a lot of work with students, helping them identify exactly what kind of service activities they're interested in doing and how they might be able to connect with opportunities to do that while they're here as a student. So, and the Post-Bac Society, which is our student organization, actually does a lot as well to sort of create opportunities for students to come together and network and get to know each other at the same time while you're doing volunteer and service-related activities. We have students who do projects, the guest chef program at the Ronald McDonald House. They're doing a Breakfast Buddies program there and a game night program this year. Students get together and they do packaging of food at Manna. There's actually one of the student clubs is doing a fundraiser for Manna this year. So there are ways that you can be volunteering, maybe as a hospice volunteer and maybe doing that every week over the course of a year, or you might be doing individual one-off opportunities like those that I just mentioned. So I think that, we do a lot to try and create opportunities for you to have rich and meaningful volunteer experiences during your time. Anything else you can add about volunteering or service?
The only thing that comes to mind is I remember there was a question earlier about somebody who had a sub-3 GPA, and Jackie mentioned about doing a holistic review. If you are kind of uncertain about your credentials and you think that you need to kind of approach the application through a different way, volunteering is a very good thing to have on there, especially if it's kind of medically related. They want to know that you're know the kind of world you're getting into. It's a challenging field. I've been working at the hospital for over a year now, and it's still a little weird going up to patients and talking to them about certain things. So it's the more experience you can get, the stronger your application will be, both for this program and for medical schools.
Okay, and someone wants to know about the timeline for applying for next summer. or next fall. Right now, our application cycle is open for students who are applying in January, which would be the spring term. The only applications that we accept in January are for specialized students. So core student applications are accepted for summer and accepted for fall. So later in, I can't recall right now when applications will open for summer, but they do open up, I think, later on in the fall or the beginning of January for summer and for the subsequent fall. Okay, we would have those dates up on our website, so you should be able to find out that information if you go to the application page on the website. And let's see. I'm trying to. I'm wondering if you students can tell us anything about some of the volunteer opportunities that you had. Either one of you want to talk
Sure.
about something like that, if you've
Yeah,
done
so-
anything with any of the groups?
Yeah, I actually found my volunteer. I go once a week. I found it, once again, through an email, just like my job. I can't stress that enough. There's really good communication. I spend 2 hours a week at the cardiac intensive care unit, and I'm helping the emergency department with a research project where they are training people in very basic CPR, so it's not like a CPR certification. It's just kind of like a little kit that they get. It's either a video or an iPhone app that teaches them just absolutely basic CPR, with the thinking that too many times does somebody have a cardiac event, they collapse, and people kind of crowd around them, and nobody knows what to do. They call 911, and then they just kind of sit there and hope for the best. So the idea is if we can get people to do just at least some very basic CPR, that's going to be much better than not doing anything at all. I really like it because it's certainly doing something really good. Maybe someday somebody that you teach is going to save a life. Obviously, you can't take credit for that, but it's certainly enriching, and to the point of it being difficult to approach patients, I'm physically walking through the halls of the inpatient unit, walking into patient rooms, interrupting them, introducing myself. It's something that takes a lot of getting used to, and something that I think will translate and help a lot in medical school in the future.
Yeah, so one of the volunteering opportunities I had as an undergrad here, that certainly post-bac students are welcome to join, is the United Community Clinic. So I used to be the coordinator of the undergraduate division of that clinic, and so what's really unique about that particular clinic is it's in the basement of a church in West Philadelphia. So I think some of the biggest takeaways for me from that experience was learning how to interact with students, med students, nursing students, social work students, because those were all the different components of this clinic. It was really unique and very comprehensive and integral that way. And learning to speak to patients who aren't necessarily within a hospital setting, and I mean, you're literally in the basement of a church, so learning to interact with patients in that setting and maintain a professional environment and still provide the care that these patients come in needing for free was just an absolutely eye-opening experience for me, and it gave me an opportunity to get involved in the greater Philadelphia community, because when you're here at Penn, you're not just at Penn, you are contributing to the greater Philly community. So that's a cool opportunity I've had in the past.
Okay, thanks. And Lindsay had a question a little while ago about what was the benefit of applying in the summer versus applying in the fall. And it doesn't matter if you're a core student or if you're a specialized student, if you're applying in the summer versus the fall. Some of it is really your timing. Would you benefit from taking some additional classes? That gives you a little bit more time if you start in the summer, so then you have 3 semesters as opposed to 2 semesters to get through the program, or you can distribute your course load a little bit differently, and that's something that you might want to take into consideration, have a conversation during an admissions interview about, what the timing would be. Sometimes some people will apply for the summer application, and we recommend that they actually postpone that until the fall so that they can do some math before they come into the program and really prepare themselves to hit the ground running with physics and chemistry if they happen to be a core student. So, all of that, those questions are really great questions, Lindsay, and things that, if you are offered an interview, that you should bring up and have in discussion with the member of the admissions team that's interviewing you. Kevin wants to know that about working, and if you're working in the evenings and not able to take evening classes, are day classes available as a substitute? Well, Kevin, this program really is designed to be in the evenings. So the courses that we run, the courses that we roster are in the evenings. However, for some students, if they have a conflict, sometimes a student will want to take, 3, 4 courses in a semester, and sometimes there are time conflicts. If we offer that same class during the day, then the student might be able to take it at a day rate for a reduced tuition. The LPS tuition is discounted over the normal day tuition for Penn students. So it actually is quite a deal for them to be able to take their classes in the evening. But I wouldn't recommend that you look at this program if you are working in the evening and you don't have evenings available for taking classes. It doesn't seem like that's going to be the best fit for you. So you might want to look at a program that offers classes during the day, or switch your work schedule to work during the day and maybe consider it then being available for evening classes.
And just real quick add to that too. I've noticed a lot of my professors know that you are a pre-health student, so they will certainly cater their curriculum and their class towards your goals. My physics professor, for example, all our exams featured at least one MCAT-style question. So there's certainly that to take in mind. It is beneficial to take the LPS classes. They might be just a little bit more relevant towards what you want to do.
Okay. And Alicia wants to know, how large is the incoming class? So the largest class that we have coming in is in the fall. So I think, were either one of you at New Student Orientation this fall?
Not this.
You were
this
there
one, no.
last
Yeah.
fall. So we had about 116 students present at New Student Orientation. That was coming into the fall. In the summer, I believe there were about 75 students. And in January, there's a small number. It might be 15, maybe 20 students who start in January. So that gives you a sense of the size of the program. Someone else is asking whether or not there's tutoring resources available, and yes, there are. In fact, many of our students who perform well in the courses are then recommended to the tutoring center to be trained as a paid tutor, and then are available through the tutoring center to tutor students in our program. And I think it works really well for our students having a pre-health student tutoring a pre-health student. Yeah. There's that peer relationship that I think is really good. And Thomas is wondering whether or not this program is good for an aspiring MD, PhD. And I'm going to say yes to that, Thomas. And the reason for that is the research opportunity. So an MD, PhD program, there are different ways to achieve and go after acquiring your both of those degrees. You can do them concurrent, you can do them sequentially. But we talk about those application opportunities, but really being able to carve out some solid research opportunity is something you want to be able to do, and that's something that both of the students who are here are able to do. I think that we may have time for one quick question, and then we're going to have to leave you for tonight. But how many letters of recommendation does it take? 2. So you need 2 letters of recommendation for this program and to get in, and it does matter. They should be academic, and I think that's really about all the time that we have tonight. So thank you very much for tuning in. I hope we've been able to answer your questions, and I encourage you to apply if you're interested in our program. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jackie McLaughlin, the Director of the Pre-Health Programs at Penn. This information session